Before we start today's podcast, I want to tell you a quick story. As many of you know, I recently picked up my Audi TT. Yeah, I know, a bit early in the episode for the shameless plug, right? But hey, I love that thing. Now, imagine buying a car you're genuinely excited about. You test drive it, everything feels great, the paintwork looks clean, the mileage seems reasonable, and you think you found an absolute bargain. But let's play red team. What if the car had a hidden history? That's where today's sponsor, Car Vertical, comes in. A car might look fantastic on the outside, but a vehicle history report can reveal things that aren't immediately visible, such as previous accident damage, mileage discrepancies, theft records, and more. Car Vertical gathers information from over 900 sources across more than 30 countries, helping buyers make more informed decisions before handing over their money. The cost of a report is tiny compared to the cost of buying the wrong car. Don't get stung. If you're considering buying a used vehicle, use my code Louis20 for a discount. That's LOUIS20. You can also use my direct link, carvertical.com/Louis20, or simply click the link in the podcast description. Again, that's code Louis20, and the link is right there in that description. You can't miss it. If you do, you got problems, man. Now, let's jump into today's guest. This episode is epic, and I really appreciate you being here to listen to it. See you in a minute. Okay. How's it going, guys? Welcome to episode 178 of Talk4, the quickfire podcast where we ask 4 great questions to unique and interesting people. Behind the mic today is your host, Louis Skupien. That's me, and let me introduce our incredible guest for today, Chris Carter, who's going to be answering some questions today. So, Chris, how you doing today? Welcome to the show. I'm super glad to have you here, and we're going to have a great episode. This is going to be awesome.
Oh, I'm excited. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to my 4 questions. This is going to be fun.
Hey, man, it's going to be a great episode. I've been digging into all the stuff you're up to. I think we've got a few points to relate on, and I'm super excited to learn a bit from you as well. There's so much to dig into here, so we'll get stuck straight in. So
Sweet.
First thing we do on the show really is just a bit of a condensed version of, what you do. So what does day-to-day look like for you in kind of an elevator pitch format? So a couple of minutes, just day-to-day life, work that you're up to, and just everything you got going on, and then we'll get into it on the big scale after that. So yeah, try your best to get it into a couple of minutes, and we'll see how much cool stuff we can fit in there.
Oh, I can fit this. Here we go. So the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I thank my God. I feed my dog because that little shit is probably at the door whining at me. And then I go have coffee with my wife. So I'm very blessed in that regard. But then I start my day. If I'm not at the office, I'm down here in my home office. I'm very blessed to live out here at this beautiful lake house. And I start talking with people across the world. I start in Europe and India because my team is starting to get ready to go for the end of the day. So I always have a meeting at like 6 o'clock in the morning with India. And I go on from there talking about what customers need, what's going on with systems, AI, etc. And then I'm lucky enough that my day just flows. I have a full calendar of activities, from podcasts to book information. I might have to, like today, I have to sign 100 books for an event I'm going to in Germany, in Waldorf, Germany, that I have to have sent over. And then I'm talking with customers and prospects and partners, working with some of my executive staff. And if I'm lucky enough, at the end of the day, my beautiful wife says, "Hey, why don't you grill us out some steaks or chicken or make me dinner?" And I, of course, say, "Yes, my love," every time. So I'm a very, very blessed man at my age. I'm getting close to winding down. And then I do a lot of audio books. I do a lot of Spotify and podcast listening. And lately, what has really been cool is I've been staying up way past my bedtime to do a bunch of vibe coding. I've got Anti-Gravity and Claude and others, and I am just coming up with ideas left and right to have fun. I want to create and help others. And so I've been doing that on these, doing some really cool vibe coding these days.
Man, that sounds so much fun. Best bit about all that sounds like the barbecues in the evening. I love that stuff as well. So we're definitely got some relation points there. But hell, you're up to a whole lot of stuff. I really can't wait to dig into this on the bigger scale. So let's start with a bit of kind of backstory and just expand on that a little bit then. So Chris, you've built multiple successful technology companies, authored 4 best-selling books, and become one of the leading voices in S&P and enterprise technology space. Take us back to the beginning, man. So what first sparked your interest in all of this? So tech, business, what were the key moments along the career path there? I mean, where did you start out, and how did you get to really where you are now with it all?
Oh, where do I start? So I really started back in 1984. I received a Commodore VIC-20. And from that point on, I was hooked because I created an application literally right out of the box there's a book inside there that how to create these birds that would fly across your screen. And I was hooked. So I took that Commodore VIC-20 and I ran with it. And then I bought an Apple IIe. And then I went off to college at Georgia Tech. And then I got lucky enough to be picked. I replaced my roommate to be an intern at Coca-Cola, and they had SAP, and they were going through a big SAP upgrade. Well, I love tech, and I loved it, and I just kept playing and working and growing. No matter what was coming out, it could have been cloud computing, it was IBM systems, it was going from mainframes to x86s. And then I started building companies and left and right and started growing and helping other people. And all of a sudden one day somebody goes, you've done a lot, you should really consider writing a book. Well, then I started writing books, and 18 books later, I've got some on Amazon, I give away some at events, I talk with people about AI, cloud, SAP, and it just keeps going and going and going. Every day I come up with a new idea, and I put it in my notebook. I have these notebooks all over my office that everything from joke writing to my books to other activities. And so it's pretty cool. And I'm very lucky I get to talk with people like yourself and try to help the world and make it a better place through technology.
Wow, that's a hell of a story. So, where did this come from? I mean, if we go a little bit further back than where we started out
Yeah.
there, I mean, early inspirations. I mean, was there something specific in your
Mm.
family that really inspired you into this? I mean, have you always been someone super interested in tech, literally from word go? I mean, where does it all kind of kick off from you? And by the way, entrepreneurs, I think some of them are born as well. Would you say you're born into this kind of, this lifestyle really of just starting all your own stuff, writing your own books and just cracking on like you do and being sort of unconventional? I mean, where does it all come from for you?
So I'll make reference to the second part with the first part that I was going to make reference to. Yes, entrepreneurs are born this way. I unfortunately had a divorce in my family. My parents separated when I was about 5, almost 6 years old. And my mother did not handle that very well at all. As a matter of fact, she kind of went into a depression. She had 2 boys she had to deal with, a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old. And we ended up couch surfing for almost a year. And I really didn't talk about that much through my life growing up. Nobody wants to hear the plights and pains and agonies of an older, mature woman now, and of an old man. But as I started to talk with individuals, everybody's got a story. Everybody's got that story that starts. And when we were couch surfing, we would, I went through, I think it was 7 different schools at one point within a 2-year period. We had a dozen couches that we slept on. Some nice people, some not so nice people. We had the church that helped us and others. And it was during that time that I started figuring out, okay, how can I work on stuff? As a 6-year-old, you're trying to figure out how to make money and how to do things. And it's one of those things where you look back at it now and you're like, no 6-year-old should ever have to figure out how to make money just to be able to get and do anything with that regard. And so it was one of those times where I literally just said, you know what? I understand what I went through. I understand how it went. I'm going from there, and it is what it is. And that really was the start of it all.
Yeah.
I remember the pastors at the church, the Fickerts, and I've talked about these folks a couple times. It's one of those things where literally they were giving stuff out, and they helped me with my math, they helped me with my education, and I gravitated towards that because math is one of those things where I really truly excelled at. And you need good math skills in order to be able to um, go forward in your computer activities. And I didn't know that at being a 6-year-old. I just thought, okay, I'm going to pass my classes. And oh, by the way, now I'm going off to another school. So it really kind of gave me focus and activities. And as I grew up, I said, I never wanted to be like that. I never wanted to be in that situation where I'm couch surfing, where I'm having to deal with life, where I'm that in a depressed state, or I'm not willing to help my family, grow my family in those activities. That wasn't going to happen. And then lo and behold, several years later, I'm 13 years old and I get a real computer, and I'm just I'm just absorbing every book, everything. Remember, this was pre-internet, 1984. I didn't even have AOL yet, and so that was pretty cool. So I'm coding. I'm the one of the original coder monkeys.
Nice. I got to ask then. I mean, I have the privilege of knowing a few great entrepreneurs locally around here for me, and I've got my own story as well. But I mean, some of the people who I know here, they've had kind of similar stories, right? You know, grew up in council estates here in the UK and went forward from there after having these hardships and losing members of their family, and then they went on to getting their own business or taking a leap of faith or a risk. And I don't know what it is about having those experiences for entrepreneurs, but I feel like it gives them, when they come out the other end of it strong, it gives them a little bit of whatever it is you need, confidence in yourself, or that reliability in yourself, knowing that, hey, I got through that, I can go and do this now, and I don't have fear of that. Maybe as opposed to other people maybe who don't have those experiences and kind of look for the comfort of like the 9 to 5 or something. So I don't know, you tell me, do you feel like that going through like a hard part in life is critical for being a great entrepreneur, or can you get around that?
Oh, I think you have to be. I don't know of any millionaires' kids that have done what I've done. You've got to see the abyss before you can see the angels. And there's if I it's interesting. I have two incredible daughters. They're both in the health field. One is an ER nurse, and one runs medical events for large scale organizations, concerts, sporting events, World Cups, and all that stuff. And when I was raising them, I didn't ever want them to see what I saw growing up or be a part of what I saw, but I did educate them on those activities. So, and I pushed them so hard. And it's, as an entrepreneur, I've seen the abyss. I know what the darkness looks like. And the only thing worse than that right now would be death. But you know what? I know where I'm going to go when I die. So I'm not going to get preachy. I'm not going to, but I've seen the worst of the worst and gone through those welfare states and gone through those activities, not knowing if I was going to eat and have anything to eat other than when I was going to school because of the things that were going on there. And so as an entrepreneur, the worst thing that can happen to you is you're going to die. A client says, "Oh, you know what? I don't want to work with you." Okay, well, that's on you. I'm a pretty damn good partner to work with and pretty damn educated person, and I'm going to be there for you no matter what. And so if that's the worst thing that can happen in my life, I'm sorry that you don't want to work with us, and maybe you feel my pricing is wrong or my people are wrong, or you have, you know what, we've tried to work it out, it just isn't going to work. Understandable. But you're not killing me. I'm not going to be missing my family. I'm not going to go away. And so I think that's from an entrepreneurial standpoint. You look at these entrepreneurs and who have gone through those, and I've read some great autobiographies about some entrepreneurs that have done those things as well and have been through the blight of life. And it really leads you. But again, I go back to that comment I made. When was the last time you saw a multimillionaire or billionaire's kid actually come through and be the next Elon Musk or the next Chris Carter or the next whatever the case may be? And so it's one of those things where I am not worried per se about what is going on over there because I know what I've been through.
Yeah, damn right. Yeah, and another great question that springs to mind on this subject then is, I mean, you mentioned your daughters there who've gone on to do really, really high-end professional jobs, ER nurse. I mean, no doubt about it, working in that sector, you have to go to uni for years, you have to study really, really hard, and you have to have top grades, you have to do very, very well. So it makes me wonder, just in your experience as a dad, really, or even, you and your wife, bringing those kids up, you've been through those things and you never wanted those kids to go through what you've been through, but you also found a way to instill in them a lot of the qualities that you had growing up. So I don't know, just if someone's listening in right now who's, a dad or a mum or something like that, who's kind of relating to, your hardship experiences, but raising kids and trying to figure out where the balance is and make them tough, but they're not going to go through what we went through. How do you sort of strike that balance? And I mean, how do you sort of raise a kid in the simplest way? I mean, there's no simple way to it. It's, you know, a lot of feel and a lot of experience, but any tips and thoughts there on really how to do that?
I've always been honest with my children. I tell them every day I love them. We still have text messages back and forth between a 26, 23-year-old mom and dad. Love you. Good morning. I hope you have a great day. Love you. Good night. I hope you have a great night. Hope things are going well. We are very open and communicative with our children. There's never been a day that we have not gone by that have said we love each other. We are here to help you. Ask any question you want. I'm very willing to talk with them about life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. And we do talk. My wife is actually down at my oldest daughter's house right now because she all of a sudden created or had an allergic reaction to something the other day. And we went down there and she's been taking care of her as a 26-year-old. And I've been texting and calling back and forth and making sure she's okay as a human being. But even as just a parent, you're given this gift to be a parent, no matter if you're a mom, a dad, a single mom, a single dad, whatever the case may be. You are a parent. And as a parent, it is on you to make sure that the best comes out of those children and you help to provide them the best. Now, if you've got an addiction, if you've got other things, it's up to you to help yourself to help them. It is, you know, and that's one of the things that my birth mother did not do. She did not help herself to help us, and she wasn't willing to help that way. So as somebody who's seen that, I knew I wasn't going to do those things. And I've never had an addiction, so I don't know the pains and plights because it is a disease. But I know at the end of the day, it was about my children first, then me. As much as I wanted to buy a Ferrari, I didn't get a Ferrari. I made sure that they had things. We took care of their schooling. Now, some people don't have financial wherewithal, but at the end of the day, also, it's one of those things where you look in the mirror and say, what am I going to do? I remember before I had Aproyo, and I would work 3 jobs. I would work 2 or 3 technical jobs. I was doing coding for people. I was taking care of things as I went back and forth between my different career path. I always made sure that everything was taken care of. It wasn't about me. It was about them.
Yeah.
And working 3 code jobs or doing things, working 18, 20-hour days, you know, that's because I cared. I wanted to make sure that they were doing that. And so I ask people all the time, what are you doing to better yourself, to better your family? What are you doing to better yourself, to better your career? What are you doing to better yourself to make sure that you don't have those activities going forward? And so I made sure they came first in my life, not the other way around.
Sounds like a lot of your sort of philosophy towards that is quite an internal thing. So a lot of you getting them right was you getting yourself right first. But I kind of want to lean into that question from the other angle again one more time. When you're sort of forking out all of that effort and you're doing all of these things and setting that example, how do you make sure they follow suit? I mean, like I said, the jobs they have speak for themselves. Hard workers, clearly done it for years, got the grades, knuckled down, pulled it out the bag and stuck with it. So, and now they've got great jobs. But I mean, you sound like you set a great example and you were the best dad you possibly could be for them. But as someone, you know, once upon a time said, you know, you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. They've definitely gone and drunk. So how do you make sure they do that? Is it all about setting your own example and being the right person for them? Or is there things you have to do to make sure they also are tough as well?
Well, it's both, to be honest. You got to make sure that those children are tough. In today's world, you've got to have tough children. Now, mind you, I don't live in a third world country. I don't have to deal with a lot of BS that's out there in some places of the world. So I have some benefits. I'm an American. You're UK, I'm an American. We've got some pretty decent countries that we've got some pretty good lives. And I don't live in an area of this country that is blighted. And I would have changed that direction if that. So I did lead them to the water and I did make them drink because I told them continuously how awesome they were, how good they were doing. I provided them with positivity. I don't think there is ever one time I know there's never been one time that I literally said, look, I'm disappointed in you. You have really disappointed me. Now I've said, look, I know you can do better in this exam. You're a very intelligent young girl. And I'm not going to say which daughter, but one of them actually had some issues going on with school. And I would sit down with them literally over Zoom calls and team calls, and we would do math problems together because they were having problems with their math. And I'm the math one in the house. My wife is the writing and punctuation. I could do a sentence without a comma all day long. I'm doing the math. And so it's giving them that, reaffirming the positivity with them. And don't continuously say, oh God, I wish I never had you, or I wish you weren't here, or wish you weren't this, and I wish you weren't that. No, I wish you were doing this with me. I wish I could do more with you. I wish I could travel with you. I wish I could be there in your class and help you with this. And then do it. So be more positive with your children, be more affirming. And yes, I would make them drink. If I had to hold their head under the water to get a drink of water, I would make them do that. But because I knew that they could. And there's only one time in our life that I ever had to spank one of my daughters. And it was the worst time in my life. She was very, very naughty. And I gave her a spank on the butt, probably a little harder than she needed, but I gave it to her. And I was devastated for half the day. She didn't care about it. She was like, "Argh, argh." And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I had to do that. And that was it. One time when she was like 8 or 9, I guess it was, but that was it. And still afterwards, we read her stories before bed. I brought her water. We talked. When you do things together as a family, and you put your family first and your children first, and no matter what, and help guide them, it goes a lot easier than just letting them run out in the streets and who they're playing with and not knowing the activities. We knew every single one of their friends in the neighborhood. We were very lucky that way. We lived in a smaller town in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I can guarantee you I knew every single one of their friends. Now, when they got into high school, that was a little different because it was a different atmosphere, multiple schools, but I still knew who the Fab Five were for my youngest daughter. I knew the sports teams. I knew the parents. We tried to have them over to our house to interact with them, because then that way we could control what was going on. There was no alcohol in our house for those high school kids. My daughters even knew if somebody was drinking or had drunk while they're at our house, keys were left at the door. Nobody left if they did anything like that. There was none of that, and there was no shenanigans like that in our house. And we just actually found out, it's so funny we talk about this. My youngest daughter told us that one of her friends drank this thing called peppermint Smirnoff. It was like a peppermint candy cane Smirnoff bottle. They took a couple shots out of it and they were like, oh, this is gross. Oh my God, my dad is going to find out. They put water in the bottle and then hid it in the back part of the cabinet. And they never drank anything there again until college. And it was kind of funny that way.
Oh man. Well, I tell you what, whatever you've done with them, it sounds like they've turned out really, really well. And
I blame the mom.
Yeah.
I blame mom. Mom has created that.
Oh, it's a team effort, clearly. Well, I mean, honestly, dude, it sounds like you're a great man and a fantastic father as well. So I think everything else after that, comes second fiddle, but it's all super impressive as well. So, but those are the two main things. But let's dig into the business side of it then. Yeah. So much of her career is focused on helping organizations modernize their digital infrastructure while protecting their most critical systems. For people unfamiliar with SAP and enterprise technology, why are these systems so important? What are the biggest mistakes organizations make when trying to modernize under pressure? So we've learned a bit about you. Let's talk about the business stuff then. So what is it that you do, man?
Yes. SAP is the largest ERP software. So you've got Microsoft, which is the largest technology company on the planet, we'll call it, next to NVIDIA now, but that's Microsoft in software. And right underneath that, number 2 software is SAP software. 93.7% of every single dollar flowing through the world today runs through an SAP system in one way, shape, or form, beginning, middle, end, wherever the transaction is. All the major credit card companies, American Express, Visa, MasterCard, Lloyd's of London, and multiple other banking organizations all run SAP software. So it is a extremely critical environment and landscape to be able to make sure that is running fully lock, stock, and barrel, up, down, no matter what. And so I'm very fortunate that our organizations, work on SAP software. We host it, we manage it, we license it, take on the responsibilities of it, and help these organizations. And then, behind that, I've got my side activities, my other companies, Mugatu, that literally does all the AI security for companies like that. So I built a tool called the Overwatch tool with a shield on it that allows for human on our ears. I don't want you uploading a 22 page or 22 tabbed Excel document with all your 401k data in it. That would not be good for you, especially if you're using ChatGPT, OpenAI, Claude, or whatever in those regards. And so it helps in the AI infinity loop of the human and AI, and it stops those processes. So I've got a number of ways to really help organizations, either from an SAP cloud and an SAP support mechanism or an AI support and security mechanism, to really foster them to be secure and safe and have the best of the best, with a fantastic company that supports them. And I've got a great team. It's not me. I just have a brain that comes up with ideas. Everybody else on my team creates those ideas, moves forward, and supports our organizational structure for those firms that we work with.
Wow. So what exactly isn't SAP then? So I mean, I'm fairly unfamiliar. I mean, I feel like I know like my fair little hand at tech, but I mean, I feel like I missed a trick here because this sounds like a big thing, but I hadn't heard too much about it until today. So can you walk me through it?
Sure. So SAP is a German software company. Statistical Analytical Processes. So SAP. And what it does is it combines all these different modules together. So instead of having a separate HR system and a separate finance system, so let's say Workday, QuickBooks, maybe some type of warehouse management, BCC, or something else and something else. So instead of having like 20 different systems in your company, you have one system, and it's all together in one. So you have one central repository of data. So you have your central database. And then what it does is it combines all that. So you have one record of truth. And that one record of truth then allows you to get any one of your modules to be able to give you the data and the information that you need to make the decision based upon your organization and your data. So it's an ERP solution, enterprise resource planning solution. You've got SAP and you've got Oracle. Now you might also have Sage or one of those firms out there, and you may even have multiple databases because of companies that you had. Maybe you bought an old JD Edwards company, or you bought an old Oracle company, or you even bought an old SAP company. But what you can do is then you can combine those together in a nice, clean, neat package. It takes a little bit of time to clean up the data and all that. But then you have one repository of truth. And once you have that one data repository of truth, that's when the magic happens. Because instead of taking it from different disparaged databases and older databases and such, now it's really giving you the benefit to support your organization and to give you what you need to make better, faster, stronger decisions, and creating a bigger, better, faster, stronger human being because of that.
Okay, so let's role play it a little bit then. So I own a gym called Synergy Gym. I'm actually at the top of it right now in my office. So we have around 700 members, and I've been running it since October, but I've been here for a little while. So I'll just give you the rundown. So we run obviously direct debit stuff. We have like card reader based short-term memberships. We have things ran through a system called Ashbourne that deals with our memberships, deals with the data of the members and the renewals, and does the emails and stuff like that. Then we obviously run stuff like QuickBooks, and we've got like a load of systems, right? These guys, take care of the alarms. These guys take care of the CCTV. These guys take care of the fire exit. Yeah, all sorts of stuff going on. Loads of apps running. Like you said as well, I do a bit of vibe coding as well. I use Base 44. So we run like the website via that and stuff too, and that gets a bit of data as well. Okay, I'll stop there. But the gist of it is, let's say I was integrating SAP into Synergy right now. What would that look like on a small business scale, and then on like a large business scale too? How can that sort of, what does that actually look like integrating it, or getting someone like you or your team to help us out, for example?
So let's start with some of the first things. Now, it doesn't, you can integrate your CCTVs and your pieces in there as data mechanisms if you so need. But your QuickBooks and your membership applications and how you're doing your scheduling and how you're doing, take away all those separate systems and you bring all that data together into one repository. Wouldn't it be better if you didn't have to open up a tab for QuickBooks, then open up a tab for your members, then open up a tab? It's all integrated in one nice, neat package. So you could do your billing and you could do an automated billing supply. If you've got variances, it will showcase your variances based upon maybe a member brought a guest and you've got that notified in your system. So your front desk individual notifies the system, says, hey, Chris brought in a guest this week and that guest didn't pay. It was on Chris's account. So that's an extra $10 for that. And so it literally takes everything and compresses it down into one nice, clean, neat package rather than having all those separate tabs and all those separate applications, paying all those separate maintenance fees. You pay one license fee, one maintenance fee, and everything is combined together to make your life so much easier. And we've got a lot of smaller businesses. Hell, I've got companies that are under 100 employees. I've got companies that are under $1 million in revenue. I've got companies that are all shapes and sizes and all different industries that literally look at it and say, look, I need to make my life easier. And the nice thing with SAP now is they've integrated AI into it. So you can actually have your side tool. It's called Joule, Joule, instead of JEWL. And it literally, you can talk to and say, hey, I need to do my billing for the month in the next 4 days. Is there any anomalies I need to look at? Is there anything I need to do in regards to new members? You can also set up, just like you made reference, you can set up activities with your web. When somebody sends in a request form or has a question, it goes into your CRM. Or if you're doing your customer support activities and a customer sends you some type of information, hey, I was trying to do this, but I can't get this done. Can you help me with my membership? A lot of password resets. Hell, it's probably 80% of what our customer support was doing. Well, that's an automated process now. And those types of things really help with your time, your money activities, and your budgets, and supporting you and your staff to make sure that the customer is taken care of.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, the thing that obviously screams out to me when I think about that is, I mean, my experience in, I haven't gone that deep into it, but I mean, I use it pretty much every day for a variety of things. So if we talk about AI, the GPTs and the cloud or whatever, you know that you'll get a more accurate and a better response with the more data you give it. So if it's working, if you ask it a specific question, but it's only got one source of data on your company, for example, or whatever it is you're doing on the podcast or whatever it might be, it's limited like a human would be in a way to what it knows and what it's being given data wise. But if you are if it is integrated within a system like this, I can imagine that it has so much more to pull from, therefore able to give a more educated response more accurately because it just has more to feed from. Sound about right?
That is absolutely correct. And then you add on top of that here, and I'm going to take off the glasses and point for effect. So anybody that's just listening, I literally took off my glasses and I'm pointing my glasses at the camera.
We're getting pointed at.
Things, not pointing at you, but I'm just pointing at everybody to listen. This is important because AI is, and I talk about this every time I can. There is an infinity loop that makes a bigger, better, stronger human to make bigger, better, stronger, faster decisions with AI. You as the human, ask your AI, whatever it is, be it Gemini, be it Claude, be it whatever, ask it to ask you questions to make it bigger, better, faster, and stronger. Because if you're getting asked questions by your AI tool and you're answering them honestly, with the accuracy that you can, it will learn from that about you, your company, your capabilities, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. There's a great book out there by Jeff Woods, talks about asking 3 questions, no more than 3 questions at a time. and have it ask you to ask questions. And then take that information and let it learn from it. Because the more it learns, the more you're going to learn as well. And so I do that. My BFF at work is my Gemini. I use Gemini all day, every day. I have over a couple hundred different chats that I've had in there, and I can go back and research them. And so what we want to do is we want to help it up level your game. And it's going to do that. And that's where we become bigger, better, faster, stronger, instead of people being worried about losing their jobs to AI.
Yeah.
Better yourself, understand the tools, ask it the questions so it can ask you, so you can be one level above a coder monkey like myself and go from there.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, a few episodes back, I can't remember which guest it was exactly, but I remember the quote. He said that AI is not going to replace you. And in fact, actually, when you really break into it, he thought that AI actually is more expensive than actual employees. But that's another story. But the point was that you're not going to be replaced by AI, but you will be replaced by people using AI really effectively. I feel like that hits the money there, right?
1000%. And it's funny. I go to universities and I talk quite a bit, and I love talking to these younger individuals. And to be honest, I really like having the conversations with these continuing education classes, because these individuals are in their 30s, 40s, and such, and they're just lost. And I continuously tell them, simply learn more about how to use the AI tools. You don't necessarily need to learn how to create these massive LLMs. Learn how to have a conversation like you and I are having a conversation on this podcast, back and forth and back and forth. Because the more you learn, the more it will learn. And you are 1000% correct. It's the people who know how to talk and have those conversations with those tools that are going to be the ones that are going to continue to rise up the stack. And if you sit there and literally say, I just don't know. I don't know how to talk. I don't know how to build this. I don't know. Well, okay, you're shooting yourself in the foot first and foremost. Secondarily, making sure at the end of the day, you're the one in charge. You are the human. You have to start the process. That's why I continuously say it's an infinity loop, because the human starts it. It goes into AI. AI then comes back and says something back to you, and you have to be smart enough, or at least look at it. You can't just fake it. You can't just say, oh, whatever answer gave me. No, you have to then evaluate and then say, yeah, you know what? Can you add upon this? Or please take this away. Hey, AI or Gemini tool or whatever, where did you get that information? Did you make any of that information up? If you continuously ask those questions and back and forth, that's where the success happens. And that's why you as the human are so important, because you start it and you finish it. It's just that now you have, and you're a little bit younger than myself, so I don't know if you remember these. Back in the day, we used to have the Encyclopedia Britannica. It was 27 books that were on the back shelf of my office at my house with my dad's office. We could go up there and pull it out, and we'd start looking through let's just say the P's, and we would get everything and anything, and it would have pictures and everything. Well, now the Encyclopedia Britannica is Claude, or it's Gemini, or it's everything, and it's gathering it from the world, not just a set of 27 books. And you still have to understand it, learn from it, and ask more questions to get deeper and more granular as you want. Yeah. That's the importance of it.
I truly believe that. Yeah, 100%. I mean, had a lot of conversations as well with people in the special forces and stuff too. And, the thing I take away from them, especially the conversations I've had as well, is that the gist of it is that they aim to use every tool at their disposal to the max. Right. So, I mean, whether that's their rifle or the radio in their backpack, or the wire, or the little, pocket, whatever, crude examples, but the gist is there. Same thing for us, right? I mean, if we have this thing and we can use it to make us a sharper tool in the box, right? Learn faster, do the work that we're thinking of faster, flow. You said something earlier, I can't remember exactly what it was, but about flowing through your day. If you can stop getting held up on typing out a massive email or a massive blog post or something, and you can actually have the thought and then produce in 10 times the rate of speed, you're just becoming a much sharper tool in the box, right?
Amen to that. That's exactly it. These are simply tools, or you can say tools in your toolbox or arrows in your quiver, in order for you to make bigger, better, faster decisions and be a part of the growth evolution that's going on within AI, instead of cowering in a corner like a young puppy dog or something.
Yeah, completely agree.
And I only reference that because my puppy dog is walking in and out.
There you go.
Of the office today.
But no, seriously, I like the sound of the SAP. I'm gonna have to look into it. And when we get off the podcast, we'll have to talk about it more. So I mean, it sounds really
ping me
really
afterwards.
We will, absolutely. Out of interest, I mean, we're not at the shameless plug yet. We've got loads to go. But I mean, if someone was kind of in my headspace thinking this sounds good, where would they go to kind of get started or look into this a little bit more? If we just stay there, then we'll move forward from there.
Yeah, there's a couple places. So go to my personal website, ChristopherMCarter.com, and you'll see my LinkedIn page. Please connect with me. If I travel the world, which I do, and you ping me and say, hey, when next time you're in the UK, or like I'm going to Germany in a couple of weeks, or the Netherlands, ping me. I'd love to. I always have coffee. I love coffee because I own a coffee company, and besides the point, and I love bourbon. So I will have a drink with anybody around the world anytime, as a matter of fact. So please feel free to do that. And then secondarily, my LinkedIn page, go there, connect with me. And again, make sure you let me know where you're located so we can connect. And, I constantly have free books. Right now, I've got a couple of free books on my LinkedIn page about AI and beginner's guide to AI, and then also the executive guide to better AI. And they're absolutely free. I want to help people. So I've got the download links, and I'll make sure you get those as well if they're not, if they can't find them on my LinkedIn page.
I love that, man. That's great. This leads great into question 3 then. So we always try to dig into a bit of leadership as well, like personal leadership within the show. And I think this is a good place to dig into that. So something that we sort of highlighted a minute ago in that previous conversation really was just the whole point that it starts with the human, right? So you can have all the tools, you can have the AI, you can have everything at your disposal, but you have to be a strong leader within that to see the potential, see the integration, open the doors up, right? And then make informed decisions and go and use that information. Because again, it's no different from sitting on this podcast versus listening to AI. If you're going to sit here, listen to all of it, never take anything away from any of it, but nod your head like a noddy dog and not actually go away from there and think, I'm going to go and try this out, or I'm going to experiment with it or learn a bit more, then you're not really learning anything, right? So for people listening in and generally business owners out there, we've got more data than ever before right now. And it's all at the palms of our hands, it's all at the tips of our fingers. So how would you say for someone listening in today who's not too kind of savvy with this sort of thing, how do you begin with leveraging AI without getting kind of lost in the hype of all of it? There's a lot of hype right now, but where do you start? How do you kind of clue yourself up in it? And how would you sort of take that step into really going with the future?
That's a great question, because there is so much hype and, AI can do anything and everything for you. No, it can't. So the first thing to do is go out and just do a Google search. Talk about what you're interested in, I'm a beginner with AI. I've never used the tool before. Can you help me understand what tools I should be looking at, what areas I should be inquisitive about, what are the backbone of the AI revolution? Get some knowledge into it. And that's what I did originally back in the day, but I was using it for machine learning back then. Now it's, what tool can I use? Canva is for sales and marketing. Gemini is for building and having conversations. I'm a big believer in Gemini. I really, really like the Google AI Studio, because what I can do is I can go to Gemini and I can have a conversation just like you and I are having a conversation. And I can go back and forth, and I can specifically say to my Gemini, hey, Gemini, I'd like to have a conversation with you about XYZ. And you can do that. Now, if you do that in the Google toolbar, it's got the little Gemini AI icon. You can do that as well and start learning the process. And then start taking or watching YouTube videos. It's interesting. You can type in beginner AI, how to's, what to's. And there are some really wonderful videos that are out there that people can leverage. I also recommend downloading and reading my free book, The Beginner's Guide to AI. It is a wonderful starting point. I actually gave that to my father, and he's like, "Oh, now I understand what AI is about." I'm like, "Okay, Dad, but you don't have to use it. You're 79 years old. You don't have to use it. You can enjoy your retirement. But if you really want to, you can." And I really ask people, just have an open mind, watch those videos, read a couple books, and then start to play with it. You don't have to own everything. You can literally just start playing, like playing a game of cards or a game of chess or anything like that. Just start the process and start having conversations with some type of AI tool. Ask it a question. It's funny, before my mom passed away, she was the director of continuing education for a university. And she would ask it anything from recipes to directions to the best things for this. What is the best gift to give my sister? Or what is it? And you can do it for simple things like that, or you can get really deep and really granular. Hey, how's this? Blah, blah, blah. How do I get to you can really go crazy on it. So start out simple, start out small, gain confidence. Once you gain confidence in a tool and you feel more and more it's like my pickleball. I blew out my calf last night playing pickleball, but I actually used Gemini with YouTube videos to understand the rules and responsibilities for it, the kitchen and how I serve and where you go back and forth. And it's just like anything. It's just all you have to do is start. Or as Nike says, just do it.
I like it. It's true. And I like the idea about starting with a free video as well, because you know what, as a YouTuber myself, I know that, trust me, whatever you want to learn on the internet, you better believe there is a YouTuber out there that will chop their right arm off for those watch hours. So go do that.
Yes.
It's so true.
Yes. Give them some credits.
Yeah, I think maybe like the line really it needs to be drawn with people where it's just at what point do you let AI sort of just run you versus what point are you just sort of going, right, I'm going to use you as a tool, right? I think that's where people go wrong. Maybe people think that AI is something that you got to use to run your whole life, or it's got to, every decision it makes is going to be you. But again, like I said, I think that with the AI stuff, again, you're using it as a tool to help enhance you, right? That's where people need to stay firm. That's what I think the future needs to look like for people integrating this stuff. Would you agree?
I fully agree. Now, again, I'll make reference. My Gemini is my BFF at work, but it is a tool to help me with things that I want to do. It's great for me as a tool because I come up with ideas, thoughts, processes, and directions all the time. And so I will hit my function key and I will talk to Gemini. Please take this note. I have this idea about this, 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 and this. And I really want to, I get my daily briefs from Gemini. I get my updates in my emails from Gemini, and I do things that consolidate my day to make my life easier. And so I can do more because I want to do more. But you don't have to go that crazy in it as I do. You can just simply use it as a notebook. You can, notebook LM you can use and do things with it. It's where I go to kind of brain dump, and then I can go back into those chats and I can expand on it a mile wide if I want to. And it gives me that luxury, and it gives everybody that luxury if you really, really want to. It's interesting. I'm looking at myself in the camera, and I broke my neck, and I've got 2 carbon fiber and titanium discs in my neck that I keep playing with this little scar. And so for those not on camera, I've got this big scar across my neck from my neck surgery. And so I think about how I started to become a robot, but I still use my tools to help me day in and day out. And I wish I would have had those tools when I was laid up on my back and I couldn't move, because I would have been able to do so much more when I did that 10 plus years ago. And now, if that happened to me today, or if I have to get surgery on my calf or whatever, I'll be in a hospital with my phone talking to three of my different AI devices just to ask questions. Hey, I'm doing this. What am I doing? How to do it? And so you don't have to start becoming a robot in order to start using AI.
It's a very good point. And then looking forward to the future as well, then. So, I mean, you seem like someone who's ultra tapped into, the flow of the stream with all of this, for lack of a better word. Well, over the next decade, how do you see this sort of changing businesses? So, I think as someone who knows a lot about SAP, how is that going to evolve over time as well? I mean, are we kind of in like an early stage right now where AI is just sort of assisting people with requests, or is it going to get to a point soon where it's just managing a whole lot more workflow? That's within your industry, but also just industry generally in terms of business. I mean, what are you seeing coming up over the next 10 years that maybe isn't being so much talked about now?
Yeah, that's a great point because so much is being talked about. Now, is it really happening? Behind the scenes, there are quite a number of things that are happening. Everything from medical fields with surgeries. Now you get robotic surgeries and you get activities going on. You get AI is reading your X-rays and is reading blood reports and so on and so forth. Things are starting to move forward. Is it going to take over the world? No. Now, these robots that Elon are building and such like that. And that's a different story, but that's a lot that's got to happen in the next 10 years for that. Every day there's new evolutions. There's new Claudes coming out. There's I think we're on 6.5 now. And the beginning of the year, I think we're still in the fives or the fours. So every day there's something new coming out, new LLMs, new developments, new builds. And that's a great thing because everybody's doing it. Every day I'm coming up with new ideas and new thoughts, new processes. Hell, I've got AI running my coffee company, my t-shirt companies. All my Shopify stuff is done through AI. I've got new things that I'm building with my anti-gravity, my updates. I've got 5 blue bots and 1 red bot. Every day, my 5 blue bots go out and work on my shield tool and activities wrapped around it and do some testing and modifications to it. And then my red bot goes into it literally at 2:00 every morning, Central Standard Time, and tries to destroy what the blue bots built during the course of the night and see if there's any gaps in where it is. And so it continuously does that. And then I see the log reports in the morning. I'm like, okay, good job, blue team. Oh, the red team kicked your butt. Okay, and it's a team of 1. So every day there's something going on and growing and being a part of it. And to me, that's a great thing. I love the fact that we are growing as humans and we're bringing these tools along with, and they're helping us grow. That's one of the reasons why I love Audible books. And I listen to things while I'm in my office doing what I need to do, how I need to do things, because I love learning. And I hope that we never become a planet of people that don't want to learn. They just let the tools run wild. They put on the VAR glasses and they continuously want to just only sit on a couch and let the world go on behind them, like the movie that was a few years ago. I'm a big Tron guy. I love the original Tron, and then 1, 2, 3 now. And the fact that we can still be a part of that is, I think, critical in everybody. And so I'm hopeful for the future. I think that there's some great activities we can do business wise, technology wise. Yet I'm also very hopeful for the population because I think there's so much more that we can do, especially people like us who really want to help and grow these activities and not just sit back on our laurels and let technology run the world.
I like it. I really do. But despite all of that, I think the thing that strikes me the most about you is that despite the work you do, the work you have done, the things you've done, and everything you're going to do with the future and everything that you're seeing, I can tell that the 2 most important things to you are your family and your faith. And I think that's important for people to take note of there as well, right?
Yes, very much so. The first one is my Lord and Savior. He's given me the ability to go from being a couch surfer with my birth mother to being the technical person that I am. Or somebody called me a tech icon the other day. I was like, I don't know about that. It's just because I'm old. But I keep building companies, I keep doing activities, and then I've got this incredible support mechanism that's my wife and daughters. And I love them with all my heart, and I take care of them and will always take care of them. So between those two, I'm a pretty blessed guy. And then I try to help all my customers and partners as much as I can.
I love that, Chris. Last question then. This leads into it quite nicely. If you did have a second right now to go and have a little whisper in the ear of a young you, so you when you were couch surfing, or just I don't know what age that was for you, but let's just take a punt and say kind of around sort of like early teens,
6 years old.
Let's say between 6 to 10 years old, somewhere in there. You had like a time travel moment to go and have a little word in young you's ear. Yeah. What would you say, knowing everything that comes up in the future in that time?
First of all, buy Apple stock and Google stock,
I knew
Amazon
it.
stock. There's a company called Amazon there that's going to be coming up. Make sure you buy that. Make sure you buy in Nvidia. So those things first. Get away from the stock. The one thing I would say to young self is you are going to be okay. First and foremost, you're going to be great. As a matter of fact, you're going to have an incredible life. You're going to have an incredible family. God is going to take care of you. You are going to be okay. Now go out and conquer everything you want to do. I would have loved to have been the third baseman for the New York Yankees, but unfortunately my body fell apart and it is what it is. Secondarily, I would have said, you know what? You are going to make sure of something in technology. You're going to keep growing. You're going to keep educating yourself. Make sure you keep educating yourself. Now I educate myself, but there was a time in there where I was like, I got to work. I got to make money. I got to do this. And I did that. And then lastly, as I said a couple moments ago, things are going to be great for you. You're going to find an incredible wife. You're going to have great children. I wouldn't tell myself that I had 2 daughters. But the last thing would be is never stop being you. You are who you are. Don't cater to people. Don't cater to the masses. I talk. I will bash people. I will praise people. I will give them BS. I will have fun. I don't need to be the guy in the room, but at the end of the day, I will make sure that people come together and go from there.
I like it, Chris. All right, let's dig into the shameless plug then. So we got through the 4 questions and you've alluded to some of it in there, but just generally, if people are here right now, I hope many of them will be. I know they will be. Where are they going after this podcast finishes up? So that could be social media, websites, book, working with your company, learning more about SAP, all of that stuff, all the above, and anything else you want to add to it. Shameless plug away. Where do people need to go after this?
Yeah, thank you. Shameless plug is go to my LinkedIn. Christopher M. Carter is on there. Go to my website, christophermcarter.com. I've got X, I've got Instagram, I've got all them. On my LinkedIn page or my personal webpage are my free books. Go there and just learn something. They're 100 pages long. I want you to, the Beginner's Guide to AI will help anybody just to start. Just do it. Well, just read it. Go to those 2 pages. Make sure you connect with me. I will have a coffee or a bourbon anywhere in the world at any time, and I will pay for it. And I will talk about anything you want to talk about. If you want to talk about my professional soccer team, which is the Carrick Rangers back there, great team out of Belfast, Ireland, and we're going to do great things again this year. If you want to talk World Cup, you want to talk about what is that guitar hanging in the back of your office? Well, you got to connect with me to find out whose guitar that is, what rock and roller that was, or anything. I'm pretty much an open book. So, except you're not going to get any of my daughter's phone numbers.
That's great stuff. Hey, Chris, man, you know what? I think what strikes me there is that you're a great dude. You found a fantastic balance between your family, your business, your faith, and you just seem to have all your pillars and all your ducks in a row, and it's really admirable. So I appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining me for this podcast. It's been truly an absolute pleasure having you on the show, and I've learned a lot as well, so it's been a great time for me too.
Oh, thanks, mate. I appreciate it. That's awesome. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you guys for listening as well. This was episode 178. If you'd like to listen to the past episodes of the show, go and have a look at the channel. If you'd like to listen for the future ones as well, make sure to hit that subscribe button and spread some love by leaving a like and a comment. Go check out the description. All the links for Chris's stuff are going to be in there. As for now, guys, see you in the next episode. Cheers and good night.
Cheers.